Today, our guest expert is Phil Katsaros. He's the head of business development for North America and the virtual sector with Inspired. Today, Phil is going to share what virtual sports is, how it works, and the benefits of virtual sports entering the North American market. Please join me in welcoming Phil.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Jeanette. And yes, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you very much for joining our webinar today. It's an honor to be here, and we are certainly excited to be able to share, discuss, and provide some insight into Inspired Gaming's virtual sports, which notably is very well the newest game offering to come to the North American gaming market. Bear in mind, I say this, I feel safe in saying this at least, as our virtuals have just launched in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. So just a quick introduction about myself and Inspired Gaming. As Jeanette mentioned, my name is Phil Katsaros, and I'll be the host of our call today. I head up business development for Inspired Gaming in North America. I've been in the gaming industry now for nearly 20 years, and as you can imagine, I've had countless roles during this time, with roles including market development, sales, compliance, both regulatory and product, introducing new products, and much of this has been spent Europe and Asia and domestically here as well in North America. And I must say I've never been more excited about introducing a product into a new market as I am with our virtual sports. I hope at the end of the session you'll share this same excitement with me. About Inspired Gaming, we are a UK-based manufacturer and supplier of gaming technology. In addition to virtual sports, we also offer a number of other products. For instance, multi-tonic table games. We have an RGS, or remote game server, in Gibraltar, serving up online gaming content for both mobile and desktop channels. And yes, we manufacture and supply slots and VLTs as well. And notably, we are the largest supplier of server-based gaming technology with approximately 35,000 devices. With regards to virtual sports, what we're focused on here today, we are the originator of this product category, having developed it over 15 years ago. The first virtual event we created was horse racing. And due to the success of horse racing, we have since continued to grow our portfolio and also have improved upon our content to what it is today. And as a result, the product has just exploded. Today our virtuals are now offered in over 50,000 locations, 300 websites, generating over $12 billion of handle. You can see with these numbers, the virtuals have frankly become a mainstream product now in much of Europe and Asia. And we, Inspired Gaming, count for approximately 90% of the global market share in this product space. The slide you're seeing now is a brief snapshot of some of our partners that we supply virtuals to. And what you'll find is that we supply virtuals to all sorts of operators. The types of operators, they run the gamut. We supply to land-based casinos, cruise ships, online operators, sports books, race books, and lotteries. So just what exactly are virtual sports? Well, virtual sports offer the closest legal experience to actual sports betting in a digital format. It's a fully compliant sports betting-like product that is completely legal because at the heart of it, it functions like many other gaming devices do in that it uses a random number generator. In a nutshell, though, virtual sports are digital representations of sporting events that we, Inspired Gaming, digitally create. What we do is we replicate the experience and content of live sporting events in a digital format. So our virtual sports allow players to place fixed odds wagers on these digital sporting events. So the odds won't change as players' wagers on these events. Patrons are able to then place their wagers in the same manner they wager on live, race, and sporting events. They can wager via an attendant, via kiosk, via a desktop, PC, mobile device if allowed. It can also be on-premise or off-premise if allowed. The virtual events are then displayed on TVs in casinos or online, just as live events are televised. And finally, this is key, each event is then determined by an RNG, a random number generator. So there's no connection to live sports, and there's no skill involved. So it said that a picture's worth 1,000 words, and so a video must be a whole lot more. So the best way to really understand virtuals is to indeed watch a few videos. This will immediately provide some context for you here. The downside, however, bear in mind that the videos I'm about to show you, we're at the mercy of the capabilities of this webinar site. So the clarity and graphics of our content will unfortunately suffer greatly. I was actually a bit hesitant to show the videos, but in the end it's necessary to understand the product. However, after we actually deploy virtuals in retail, casino, lottery venues, the graphics are razor sharp, as you'll see, and in most cases it broadcasts in full HD. Therefore, after this session, we'll be able to send you a follow-up email with some links to each of these videos, as well as some additional ones where you'll be able to better appreciate the content, which you'll find is ultra lifelike in the end. I have actually had many instances of folks not actually initially realizing that what they were seeing were digitally created sporting events. They thought it was real, and that's largely what we aspire towards at Inspired Gaming with most of our events, making it lifelike. I'm going to just lower the volume here. With every event, we do have commentary. As an operator, you can choose to shut the commentary off, the sound off. I'm going to do that here for the benefit of our webinar site. So you may be seeing some choppiness here. On the top right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a countdown. It's at 40 seconds right now on my screen. But what you're seeing here is one of our race events. It's our Indy-style car racing event. And what you're seeing is the preamble to that event. This is always presented, and I'm just going to pause it right now. It's always presented to the players before the event actually kicks off, say a minute or two beforehand. The times are configurable, though, so if you wanted the preamble to last longer, it's certainly possible, and it's up to the operator's discretion here. There are, frankly, many different configurable options within our system. Again, the preamble here is showing you the betting prices and odds for each racer. So in line with replicating the experience of an actual sporting event, in this case, a car race, we present the players with the prices and offer the same bet types they would normally see with a live race. So with horse racing or with any other racing events, the core bets being win, play, show, exacta, and trifecta wagers. And yes, we can, of course, offer many other different types of wagers, but these are the core ones. If we look at the racers now, Racer 4, Chad Scheckler here, which is a fictitious name that we've created. He's the favorite to win, and we know this because he has the shortest odds at 4.21. The longest odds in this race is Racer 6, Richard Cox at 38.53. The odds we're showing here directly correspond to the odds of that racer or participant winning. And yes, the house's hold is already fixed into the pricing. So again, stated another way, the odds are reflective of the racer's ability to win less the hold. And yes, the hold as well is something that's configurable. For land-based operations, you'll generally see hold somewhere in the range of 85 to 90%. I should say the RTP in somewhere in that range, 85 to 90, similar to other gaming devices. Again, players are able to place their wagers before the event kicks off. And as you can see, it's about to kick off in 12 seconds on the right-hand side of your screen, the upper right-hand. You see the countdown is decreasing. When the event actually, at a certain point, you'll see a message here that says, no more bets. There you go. Now betting is closed. So bear in mind, patrons are all betting on the same event, just like live sporting events. The event started, so they can't wager anymore. The event was scheduled, so similar to, say, an automated roulette that is scheduled to run every few minutes. Players are not sitting down at a device hitting spin. No, nothing like that. They have placed their wagers in advance of the event, which is scheduled, and again, various ways to place those wagers. The most prevalent in retail or casino locations being an over-the-counter wager where you hand your money to the actual attendant. There is commentary with this. Again, I've shut it off for the benefit of this webinar. So the event is kicked off, and what's happened, as soon as the event starts, our RNG has now determined the outcome. The result of the RNG is then communicated within our central system, and our proprietary software then real-time renders the outcome of this race according to what the random number generator has decided. So the RNG decides, and our software then presents the appropriate graphics thereafter. At the end of the race, which is what you're seeing now, we show the results of the outcome of the event. And what we're going to see here now is that Racer 9 came in first, Racer 3 in second, Racer 1 in third. So for the most part, these mechanics that I've described here will hold true for all of our virtual events. Let me show you another example of a racing event. This here is our horse racing event, or one of our horse racing events. We have several. This horse racing was in fact one of our was our original event and continues to be one of our most popular. The one I'm showing you here is our horses with jumps, or what I would call a steeplechase. Again, the same mechanics hold true as with the car race. The countdown to the event begins, top right-hand corner. Payout odds are presented to players. Betting is closed and the event kicks off. The event here is scheduled to occur at 9 a.m. on the top left-hand side of your screen. Under Showwell Park, you'll see 0900. And of course, with our events, they always run on time without a hitch, unlike live racing, of course. While this is a horse race we are talking about as well, the payout odds still remain fixed here, unlike with live horse racing where there would be pari-mutuel wagering and pooling of wagers. So the odds here don't change. One thing to note, I'm going to rewind just a bit. During the preamble, what you're seeing here is a spread of odds. For every event, our system dynamically includes a spread of these. So each race, there will be some short odds, there will be some long odds, and everything in between. So just like live racing. And now on the top right-hand side of your screen, you're seeing the no more bets message again. I've sort of fast-forwarded a bit to the event, but what you're seeing now are the rider positions across the bottom of your screen. And on the bottom right hand of your screen, what you're seeing is the actual track itself, where the racers actually reside on the track. I'm going to fast forward a little bit to the end. And again, you're seeing choppiness. We'll give you the actual videos via links here after this webinar. And now what we're showing is the conclusion again in replay, along with a still photo of the actual finish here. And now we're showing the conclusion here with racer or horse number 1 in first, 3 in second, and 5 in third. Now, allow me to show you one more video, which is an example of one of our non-racing events. With our entrance into North America, we're focused on bringing additional content that is relevant to the player base here. We certainly have many events for North America that are completely relevant for the player base here with horses, cars, and others I'll mention. But we do have a renewed focus on bringing more North American content. One example here is one of our latest events coming up, which is Mike Tyson Boxing. We've acquired the rights, the exclusive rights, I should say, to the Tyson brand for gaming, and what we're doing is creating various gaming products around his brand. What I'm showing you here, of course, is our virtual Mike Tyson boxing event. What you're seeing, again, on the top right-hand side of your screen is the countdown. On the left side are the different betting options here. The uniqueness with this event is that the bet types are a bit different than with live wagering, in that the players are wagering as to how long the opponent will last against Mike Tyson, including and up to a potential draw. The event we're showing now is not yet completed. It should be released in a couple of months, however. Again, what you just saw as the betting was closed off, the event is now begin, and at that moment, our random number generator determines the result, and our software then presents the outcome accordingly. What you're seeing right now are Mike Tyson's actual movements. We've motion captured him, so we've using the latest technology. So what you clearly can see is that how Mike Tyson actually moves and punches in the ring is exactly what you're seeing now. So again, the wagering here was the opportunities were how long the opponent would last against Mike Tyson. So on the left-hand side of your screen right now, what you're seeing is a counter counting up. The opponents for this event are all fictitiously created by us, and they are customizable too, so there's some fancy things, including some different marketing opportunities that we can offer for your operations as well. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward just a little bit. Again, I will provide you the link afterwards. But again, what you're seeing is a digital representation of a boxing event, in this case, Mike Tyson Boxing. And in this case, the winning wager would have been any wager around predicting that Mike Tyson would knock out his opponent at the 84-second mark or within that range. And now the conclusionary screen again. So we do have many demos of other videos that we won't be showing you here, but I do strongly encourage you to take a minute and watch some of those. Namely, to look at the events I've just showed you so you can better appreciate the graphics, but to also check out some of our other events, and you'll appreciate the detail that goes into each one of our events. For instance, check out the link I'll send you for soccer. Unbelievable the graphics are. Take a peek at it, please. I personally love soccer, but even if you don't, you're going to be utterly impressed with the realism of the graphics, which are by far and away the best in the industry. And keep in mind, with the sporting events that we'll supply, you'll note that each of those events generally only lasts a minute or two. That's because what we show to the players is essentially an ESPN Sports Center highlight reel showing clips of all the exciting action that took place during the game. So for a soccer match, it may be the goals, the missed goals, the corner kicks, some long passes, etc. If we were talking about a football game, we'd be showing touchdowns, some great runs, some catches, some big hits, and so forth. So as a player, you don't actually watch a couple hours of soccer of a football game. Rather, the event itself only lasts a minute or two. And yes, that length is also configurable. This is part of the wisdom with virtual sports. With multiple screens and multiple channels online, offering multiple different events, many thousands of games can be offered per day, per venue, either in your venue or on your site, which of course means more revenues for your operations. Now what I'm showing you here on this slide, it talks about our probabilities, pricing, and resulting. So we're not going to be taking a deep technical dive with this during this session, but I wanted to share, at least in brief, about how our virtuals actually function. Well, for each event, our software will select the participants from a pool of ranked competitors and will calculate the probability of all potential outcomes. So it becomes a weighted average scenario. Our software then converts the probability into betting prices, taking into account the configured hold. And that's what's presented to players for betting during the preamble. The RNG then, of course, determines the result, and the graphics are rendered accordingly. In the slide you're seeing, we're using a wheel as an example to illustrate this ranking concept. So you can see that certain sectors of the wheel take up a greater share than others. If we consider a horse race, these larger sectors would represent the faster horses, and the slower horses would be represented by the smaller sectors. Any horse can win the race, but it's most likely that a faster horse or a bigger piece of the pie, the bigger sector, will win. And this would be reflected directly in the pricing. So along the same lines, if we think of a roulette wheel, if you were to bet on any individual number, your payout for that wager would be 35 to 1. There are, of course, 35 spaces on an American roulette wheel, so the pricing and hold is already taken into account there, since you're only being paid out 35 to 1. Whereas if you were to bet, say, on a black or a red, on the black or red space, which covers almost half of the wheel, aside from the greens, which of course represents nearly, nearly half of the wheel, your payouts are therefore 1 to 1 because it's more likely to happen. Now, one area of concern you may have: what are the potential regulatory implications here? Does it run afoul of PAPSA or any other sports betting laws? How has it been certified, and how can we do this in North America? Virtual sports is brand new here and not necessarily specified as a category, so how does it fit, and so on. Well, having spent many years on regulatory and legal matters across the globe, these are certainly some of my initial thoughts. All of these questions came to mind. And with any new products, there will certainly be questions and perhaps hurdles to overcome. We are ready for that. But again, after gaining a full understanding of how our virtuals function and speaking as a former regulator, I no longer had concerns. There will certainly be instances where virtuals won't fit perfectly into, but the overwhelming majority of our operations of your operations should be able to offer our virtuals as the product currently is. And in those instances where virtuals might not fit perfectly, it oftentimes may just be understanding how our virtuals function. In the end, understand our system is highly customizable and we're able to adapt to the regulations as needed, and we've really done this on countless of occasions. And that's probably the most prevalent question here, though. How do virtuals fit within your compacts or legal framework, since the term, quote, virtual sports is not specifically called out? We'll, of course, have to look at each situation, digest it, and understand what's provided for in your rules. But the mechanics of how virtuals function will most often already comply as is. So it may just be a situation where the term virtual sports might need to be added along with, say, some explanation of how to play. But to amplify this point of our virtuals already complying, as mentioned, our virtuals have now launched in Nevada, and the Nevada technical standards, for instance, were not in any way amended in order to allow for our virtuals. Our virtuals were tested and are being tested against their existing technical standards. We're also doing the same thing in New Jersey as well, and we anticipate the same result there too, and that being that the technical standards should not require any changes there either. We will, of course, seek any additional certifications that would be specifically required. Beyond regulatory considerations, why should you even care about virtuals? Well, firstly, it continues to grow in popularity. And while it's new and fresh to North America, it's already proven overseas. So it's not a concept or introductory product. It's not esports or skill gaming, which I think is going to be great for the industry as well. But virtuals are already proven. Everyone speaks of wanting to broaden their player base. Well, this is the product that actually does it, as it's been shown to reach a wider audience of players. Based on research and existing operator feedback and 15 years of experience, mind you, we know that players gaming on virtuals extend from their 20s into their 70s, but the sweet spot does tend to be within the 25 to 40-year-old range, as you might imagine. For this reason, our operators do love the product, as it then drives incremental revenue for their operations. It has strong appeal across the board, from sports and race bettors, traditional gamblers, lottery players, and all the way to the other end of the spectrum, which I would term as mere sports enthusiasts. You know, those who love sports who don't actually gamble. So yes, bringing in new gamblers. What we found is that people play virtuals for many different reasons. Some examples, some folks are drawn by the simplicity and immediacy of virtuals, since you don't need to be an expert and there's always an event coming up very quickly. Some enjoy it and see it as a time filler to the main events, which are often the live sporting events, which, as you know, are huge draws for many of your operations. And in fact, this is how our virtuals came to be originally. It served as a time filler. People would wager on virtuals while the main event was taking place in or between events. But over the years, with all the popularity of our virtuals and with all the action that is now happening, it's no longer a product filler. It's a product category of its own. And yet other players who are, say, sports or race bettors, they look at it oftentimes as a sort of bad luck breaker. Because while they are sophisticated gamers and while they are drawn to virtuals as well for the same reasons I've mentioned, they also view it as an added opportunity for instant gratification and to be able to chase losses, perhaps, if they're not having a good day on, say, their skill sports betting games. So many different reasons players gamble on virtuals, but I'll add one more to the list that is unique for us here in the U.S. at least. Sports wagering is illegal. So imagine how popular virtual sports will be, since it's the closest legal cousin of live wagering. So why does the industry continually choose Inspired? Well, we currently offer the widest range of sports, races, and numbers games with approximately 15 and an ever-growing portfolio of events. We are the creator of the space and have over 15 years of experience and dedicate significant resources towards this product line. Interestingly, we also have a BAFTA award-winning graphics studio. This would be akin to having an award for an Oscars over here, and is one of the many reasons we're able to provide the best content in the industry. You've already seen a few of our events with Tyson, horses, and cars, but some of the other events include soccer, as mentioned, tennis, harness racing, greyhounds, motorcycle racing, cycling, and yes, we even offer darts, which frankly is a big draw in other markets abroad. Cricket as well. We have some others. But most of these events come with the opportunity, of course, for different twists and variations that we can also offer with regards to the betting. And another example of a recently released event for the North American market specifically is our stock car racing game. So you saw our Indy style stock car racing game. We also, our Indy style racing game. We also have a stock car style racing game. It's similar, of course, but with stock cars. And we're certainly working hard on releasing many other events, for instance, basketball and yes, football for sure. These are definitely in the works. Most imminent, as I mentioned, is already is the Mike Tyson Boxing event. So we are able to deliver and deploy virtuals to you in a number of different ways. We understand operators have different needs and pride ourselves on being able to customize and deliver the product in different fashions. For example, we have a fully functional standalone system for virtuals we call BetBox. Or if you wish, our virtual software can even be integrated directly into an existing betting system. And we can piggyback off some of that existing infrastructure that you might have. We can also integrate into an online gaming system as well as an on-premise gaming system. Since all the events are centrally determined and broadcasted to TVs, mobile devices, or what have you, we can network all of your properties so there's only one installation of the central software, and we've done this on countless occasions as well. We have some partners that have hundreds and even thousands of locations spanning whole countries utilizing one instance of our virtuals. If we look at some deployments over here, our standalone virtual system, again called BetBox, is in operation in several venues. Our virtuals have also been integrated into a bet management system in Vegas, and soon we'll also launch virtuals online in New Jersey by integrating with an online gaming system. So we've done all of these things. In the case of Nevada, the two locations that offer our virtuals, the bet placement takes place over the counter with cashiers. So patrons hand their wagers over to cashiers and are issued a ticket that evidences their wager. In New Jersey, the betting will take place via mobile devices, tablets, and PCs, but also in an on-premise type of environment as well. So players there will be able to wager on virtuals while on-premise utilizing their mobile devices, whether it's personal or whether the properties decide to issue devices to them, all the while watching the same virtual events that are being broadcast online in television screens within the venue. So whether it's a traditional over-the-counter wagering via mobile devices or kiosks that you seek, we've got the solution and we've done it before. The slide you're seeing now is just an example of what a virtuals area in a casino or retail venue might look like. In this example, we're showing a lounge type setting. However, the scalability and physically light footprint of our virtuals does not necessarily require much space at all in the end. We have some locations merely with a TV screen and a point of sale system. Ideally, however, we would like a large enough area or ample space provided for the product. But every casino and venue is different in terms of the amount of real estate that they actually have. For the most part, though, the bare minimum of what is needed is wall space or an area where large TVs can be placed, but ideally a nicely done lounge or bar area is the perfect setting for virtuals. And there are loads of different configurations for the setup of how to position the actual TVs in your venues, and we would certainly work with you to optimize the ideal setup for your operation. Here's another example. As you see, wall space for TVs is required. One thing to point out, we're showing here a traditional cashier that sits behind a counter. And if you're talking about cash wagering, we also offer the ability for patrons to be able to place wagers via a kiosk or even a mobile cashier, like a Keno runner. The mobile cashier, in our case, is equipped with a tablet and a mini printer and can walk around the casino or lounge and accept wagers right on the spot, just like a Keno runner, but fully equipped to accept those wagers right there and issue the wagering receipt back to the player, unlike the typical Keno runner, which has to go back to the cash desk. So with virtual sports, we have created the most regulatory compliant sport-like product that can be used in nearly all North American market segments, and that is highly customizable. At the heart of it, product, but can also be used as a social product, and we do have plans for this, and can also be customized for lottery requirements too. It is truly a shared, communal, and convergent product since all players are able to game on the same event all at once, and the product can even be offered online and in land-based casinos simultaneously if allowed. These days, you'd be hard-pressed to be able to actually state that you have a full gaming offering without having virtual sports. That concludes my formal presentation, and of course, if you have any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time. But bear in mind, we have just scratched the surface here, so I would strongly suggest a follow-up call directly with you and your teams if you have additional interest or would simply like additional insight before gauging your interest level with your management teams. Thank you all for your time and interest. I'll now throw it back over to Jeanette for any questions that may have been posed.
Thank you, Phil, for your great insights into virtual sports. Let's see here. Looks like we've had a couple of questions come in during your presentation, so let's get started. I see that there are horses. Is there connection to real horses, or are they in connection with live sports?
So with all the new products and terms being thrown around these days, it does get confusing. There's traditional fantasy, daily fantasy, DFS as they call it. There's now esports. In horse racing, there's historical racing. Sometimes they even have machines called instant racing machines. But to answer the question, absolutely not. Our virtuals have nothing to do with any of these categories, nor is there any connection to real horses or past events. All of the horses, racers, and teams are fictitious creations, and the results are random. Interestingly, in line with my message as to the ability we have to customize the events, we can indeed customize the names, racers, horses, stadiums, and include marketing advertisements of your brand in your casino directly within many of the events. So as you watch some of the events, think about the marketing opportunities you could have here. You can't really do this with slots, or at least nobody typically offers something like this.
Okay. Is there any skill involved?
So along the lines of the last question, no, our virtuals are completely random. There's no skill involved. We do provide players with historical information as to the previous outcomes of the events. This is largely up to the operators, how they want to present it. But this would be similar to, say, a roulette machine, where you're seeing what recent numbers have come up. But in the end, it has no bearing on the outcome of the next spin or event in this case.
Okay. Can you touch upon the architecture again, please?
Certainly. So our virtuals are centrally determined. So in one of your casinos or data centers or offices, we deploy a central server stack, which is equipped with our central software applications, and this drives the entire operation for all venues that are connected to the server. We then link each venue to the central server, creating a wide area network with each casino or venue connected to that central server stack. And at each of the venues, you then only need very limited hardware and software. Essentially, at the venue, you would have a PC or two that drive some graphics to the television screens. And then, of course, you want cashiering capabilities, so there's a PC for that, along with a receipt printer and barcode scanner. And then, of course, if you wanted to utilize mobile attendance, then a tablet or two and some mini printers. And that's it.
Okay. And it looks like the last one. Can you share your thoughts about how virtual sports are regulated, or how do you anticipate it to be regulated?
Great question. So it is new to the North American markets, but I anticipate we'll have a variety of approaches. Since at the heart of each event there's an R&G, the view in my estimation will be that testing and certification will be the same as with any other gaming devices. This is our experience right now with Nevada, and I suspect in New Jersey as well. To describe how our virtuals function, I've mentioned a wheel, and even a roulette wheels example, easily have used an analogy of a ball draw such as Keno, or even the mechanics of how a slot machine works to describe this. So we're going to see a variety of different approaches in my estimation. If we, let's just look at the very commonly used definition of, say, a gaming device or a slot. You'll often see that the verbiage states something to the effect that it's a mechanical or electrical device that upon inserting money or payment of any consideration that allows the game operate the game. So based merely on this, you could even argue that virtual sports could be considered a game device or a slot, for instance. So that no new always, but it's just another example of the flexibility we have with this product category. Is there any others?
Nope, that looks like it's it. So thank you, Phil, for this idea-generating webinar, and thank you to all of our attendees today. This webinar and all of our other previous webinars can be found at youtube.com/user/inspiredvirtual. Please subscribe to the channel and get information on our upcoming webinars and new game content. Thanks again for attending, and we hope to see you soon.